Imagine a dark room filled with shelves of unsolved cases that may not have been looked at in years. Now imagine taking those cases off the shelf and bringing them into the light. The goal of this channel is to shed some new light on those dark cold cases on a state-by-state basis. Thus, welcome to Dark Cold State. I am your host, Dawn, and I plan to bring some light to these cases in hopes of providing new tips, leads, or attention that will bring a resolution to remaining family members. Today's true crime cold cases are from the state of Connecticut. Please be advised that some of this week's cold cases may have details that could be disturbing to some listeners. Our first cold case is the death of Carmen J. DeLuca. Carmen had a bright future ahead of him. He was the manager of a gas and save station and engaged to a young woman, and it seemed that they had many happy years ahead of them. The station was located at 163 Bridge Street in East Windsor, near the southbound entrance to Interstate 91. The station was making sales out of a temporary trailer while the station itself was being renovated. Carmen was not scheduled to work that evening. He had been unable to find someone to work the overnight shift as he had recently fired an employee who had been selling drugs. Carmen decided to work the shift himself. Around 2:43 a.m. on the morning of September 12, 1985, the East Windsor police were contacted by a caller stating that an apparent robbery had occurred. Police found Carmen J. DeLuca face down on the trailer floor with a single fatal bullet wound in his back. Investigators agree that Carmen was shot in an apparent robbery but could not find any witnesses to the crime. Approximately 3 hours later, a clerk at an AM/PM convenience store located in Orange, Connecticut, was shot by a black or African American male during an armed robbery. The bullet that was retrieved from that clerk was matched with ballistics to the bullet that had been removed from Carmen DeLuca. The suspect in the Orange, Connecticut AM/PM robbery was described as a very slender black or African American male who was approximately 5 feet 8 inches to 6 feet tall. He appeared to be between the ages of 18 and 25, and he had arrived as a passenger in a silver 4-door Cadillac Brougham. If you have any information regarding this case, please contact the East Windsor Police Detective Division at 860-292-8240 or the Cold Case Unit Tip Line at 1-866-623-8058. Our next cold case is the case of Champaben Patel and her daughter Anita Patel. On March 21, 1996, it is believed that Anita Patel and her 2 children arrived at the family home when an attack on Champaben was in progress. Anita told the children to leave the house immediately, and the children ran. The children later spoke with a woman who called police. The bodies of both Champaben and Anita Patel were later found deceased in the family home. Champaben had been strangled in the bedroom and her body had been burned. Investigators believe that Champaben was killed first and the killer was still in the home when Anita arrived. Anita was found in the kitchen near a sliding door, and it appears that she was attempting to flee. She had been stabbed multiple times in the back before being set afire. An autopsy later determined that she had died from smoke inhalation and not the injuries themselves. If you have any information regarding this case, please contact the Cold Case Unit Tip Line at 1-866-623-8058. All calls will be kept confidential. Our last true crime cold case for this week is Leah Ulbrich. At approximately 4:49 a.m. on October 29, 1995, Hartford police began receiving calls that a woman was being dragged by a motor vehicle. The vehicle was traveling west on Elliott Street toward Wethersfield Avenue in Hartford, Connecticut. Another caller who used a fire emergency phone at the corner of Elliott Street and Wethersfield Avenue stated she observed a female being dragged south on Wethersfield Avenue toward Wethersfield, Connecticut. This female caller has never been identified. A Hartford police officer patrolling north on Wethersfield Avenue observed a small dark-colored car enter Wethersfield Avenue from Elliott Street and begin traveling south with no headlights on. The officer observed something being dragged from the passenger side of the vehicle. The officer followed a trail of liquid that the car was leaving behind to the area of Jordan Lane near Ridge Road in Wethersfield, where he later located the victim. The victim was found lying against the curb and pronounced dead at the scene. The victim was later identified as a young 24-year-old mother of two from Hartford and New Britain named Leah Ulbrich. Witnesses later stated that she was seen arguing with the driver of the car before she was pushed out the door. Her hand became entangled in the seatbelt and she was dragged 4.5 miles while dangling out of the vehicle. An autopsy determined the cause of death as extensive blunt force trauma over her entire body, and the death was ruled a homicide. After interviewing multiple witnesses, the police provided a description of the vehicle as a newer model dark-colored Nissan Maxima or a car of similar make. It had a temporary plate displayed in the rear window. It would likely have had significant damage to the passenger side door, right rear fender, and passenger seat belt. The driver was described as a thin white or Hispanic male in his mid to late 20s. He had dark, slicked back hair and was very well dressed. If you are the unidentified woman who called from the fire phone, or if you have any information regarding this case, please call the Cold Case Unit tip line at 1-866-623-8058. All calls will be kept confidential. There are also many unidentified remains found in each state. If you have not already done so, please consider getting DNA testing completed where the DNA results are shared with law enforcement so that the possibility of identifying any unknown remains is increased. The goal of this channel is to provide attention to these cold cases. In order to do that, I must ask a favor of you. If you like the videos on this channel, please click the like button, share the video with others, comment below, and subscribe to the channel so that these videos are seen by as many people as possible. If you have a cold case or a missing person cold case that you would like to see featured on this channel, please suggest in the comments below or email me the information. Appropriate update videos will be provided if needed. Thank you.